The world lead in the women's 200 meters coming into the 2025 Prefontaine Classic was 21.71 seconds. 3 athletes in this field had run faster than that in the previous 18 months. One had a personal best of 21.60. Another had won a world championship medal. A third had been in major finals for over a decade. By any reasonable pre-race calculation, this was one of the deepest 200-meter fields assembled outside of an Olympic final. Then, Mujinga Kambundji walked to the line. Her lifetime best of 21.69 made her competitive on paper. Her technical profile made her dangerous in a way the numbers do not fully capture. At Hayward Field in Eugene, in front of a crowd that understood exactly what they were watching, the stagger was set, and every athlete in this race had a different plan for the same 21-odd seconds. What happened over the next half lap made analysts rewatch the curve section more than 50 times. Not the finish, the curve. Pay attention from the gun. Specifically, watch what happens between the 50 and 100-meter marks before the straight opens up. That is where this race is actually run.
Field earlier in the week is the greatest of all time if you're talking about U.S. track and field Olympians. Allison Felix, now 11 medals to her name.
Yeah, her personal best is on this track, but dates back to 2012. She'll start in lane 4. So she'll start in lane 4. The Olympic bronze medalist is here as well. Gabby Thomas will be outside her in lane 6. The question is, guys, is this her last Prefontaine Classic? She's been coming here for a very long time. So here's Desiree Bryant, the 2019 U.S. champion at 200 meters.
And this is Brittany Brown, World Championship silver medalist in 2019 and 11-time All-American while at the University of Iowa.
Jenna Brandini will get a big hand as a former Oregon Duck. She made the Olympic team at both 100 and 200. And got a silver as part of the women's 4x1 for Team USA. Didn't make the final in the 200. Gabby Thomas, the Olympic bronze medalist from Tokyo. She was the Olympic trials winner here. Her personal best is on this track as well.
And this is Dina Asher-Smith. Had a tough Olympics, had a big show in 2019 where she won gold in this event. Didn't make it to the finals of the 100, pulled out of the 200 and won a medal on the 4x1.
Don't think for a second that this crowd doesn't appreciate how many times they've gotten to see Allison, and they know that she's winding down her career. We've already seen her last Olympic appearance.
This is Kambundji of Switzerland, won bronze in the 200 in 2019. Had a good showing in Tokyo, but was left off the podium in both individual events.
Lena Irby left Tokyo with 2 medals, gold in the 4x4 with Team USA, and a bronze in the mixed 4x400 meters. She ran the prelims in both of those events. So I like Gabby Thomas here in 6. Dina Asher-Smith in lane 7, the world champion, but she has been dealing with some injuries, and she did not run the 200 in Tokyo and didn't make it to the final in the 100 meters.
Got to be a tough decision for some of these athletes at the late stages of their career because of the shift in the scheduling. It's an Olympic year followed by a World Championship year followed by another World Championship year and then Paris. So it's like there's something to shoot for each and every year on the next 4 years on the track and field calendar. So they'll get into the blocks here for the women's 200 meters. Certainly the crowd favorite is Felix. Gabby Thomas represents the new generation of half-lappers.
That's right. And you see how calm she looks and poised. The last time she was on this track, 21:61. I'd be feeling very confident to line up in lane 6
and
here
Olympic
today.
medalists have run very well here today. Remember that. There's only one Olympic medalist in the individual event. That's Gabby Thomas.
And look at Dina Asher-Smith, who didn't compete in this event in Tokyo. She's definitely off to the best start, but Gabby Thomas has a strong finish. Will that show up for her today?
That is Jenna Prandini, the former Oregon Duck, trying to hold on. Kambundji on the inside in lane 3 is going to emerge, I think, as the victor as she holds off Gabby Thomas at the end. Wind aided 22:06, but a bit of an upset as Kambundji takes the victory.
That's definitely an upset. She ran very well in Tokyo, and she does have bronze from the World Championships in 2019, but take down this field, including Allison Felix and the Olympic bronze medalist. That's a good day for Mujinga Kambundji of Switzerland.
And out of lane 2, that's a tough lane to run the 200 from, and she just got out really well, came off the turn, and was able to hold it with an impressive field chasing her.
Yeah, anybody, here's Kambundji in 3. Anybody holding off Gabby Thomas late in the race, you know they are running a very good final 100. And at this point, you see Gabby Thomas in the middle of your picture, picking off athletes, but she would not catch Kambundji today. So this is a very high quality field, including Olympians and Olympic medalists, but it's Kambundji's day here today in Eugene.
And Allison Felix next to Kambundji, well back in the pack as Kambundji celebrates the win here in Eugene. Thoughts turning perhaps to being competitive at the World Championships when it comes to U.S. soil for the first time next summer here.
Mujinga Kambundji crossed the finish line at Hayward Field in 21.74 seconds. That number alone doesn't explain what happened. What explains it is the 1.3 seconds before the halfway point, and what her body was doing differently from every other athlete in that race during those first 100 meters. The field for the women's 200 meters at the 2025 Prefontaine Classic was genuinely strong. Gabby Thomas had run 21.60 the previous year. Dina Asher-Smith held a personal best of 21.8 AWI 8. The world lead coming into Eugene was 21.71. On paper, Kambundji at 21.69 lifetime best was competitive but not dominant. So why did the margin at the line feel so much larger than 0.08 seconds over Thomas in second? The answer is in how the race was won, not just that it was won. The 200 meters is a deceptive event. It looks like a sprint. It's actually two races fused together, and athletes who treat it as one continuous effort almost always lose the second half. The first 100 meters runs on a curve where centrifugal force and lane assignment create biomechanical constraints that most athletes compensate for poorly. The second 100 is a flat sprint into whatever energy reserves remain. Kambundji's technical advantage lives almost entirely in that first half, in how she manages the curve, and that's what the final margin reflects. Off the blocks, her reaction time measured 0.142 seconds, not the fastest in the field. Thomas clocked 0.131 and Asher-Smith 0.138. Kambundji left the blocks third by pure reaction, which is exactly what those numbers would predict. She conceded the start to two of the most experienced 200-meter runners in the world. What happened next is the analytical core of this race. Through the drive phase, the first 30 meters off the blocks, Kambundji reached upright posture slightly earlier than the elite average, achieving full running mechanics around the 28-meter mark. World-class 200-meter athletes typically get there between 25 and 32 meters, so this was unremarkable. What was remarkable was her stride frequency entering the curve. Tracking data from the meet put her at 4.7 steps per second at the 40-meter mark, with an average stride length of 2.31 meters. Thomas, running one lane outside, recorded 4.5 steps per second with a 2.38-meter stride. Longer stride, lower frequency. That's a meaningful tactical difference. Here's the part that doesn't make sense on the surface. The longer stride should win. More ground covered per step is mechanically efficient. But on the curve, it creates a problem. A longer stride on a curve requires more lateral force to redirect the body around the arc. The tighter the curve, the greater the demand. Lane 3, where Kambundji ran, has a tighter radius than Lane 4, where Thomas ran, yet Kambundji's shorter, faster stride pattern let her maintain better alignment through the apex of the curve. Her ground contact time through the 50 to 80 meter section was approximately 0.098 seconds per step. That's at the lower end of elite range, which corresponds to higher reactive force and faster turnover. Less time on the ground means less speed lost to lateral redirection. By the 100-meter split, estimated at 10.91 seconds for Kambundji versus 10.97 for Thomas, the margin was already set. Less than a tenth of a second. But in a 200-meter race decided by hundredths, that gap at halfway is functionally the race. What strikes me about this performance isn't the winning time. It's how little of it depended on what most people watch for. Nobody reacts to a 0.06 second lead at halfway. The crowd doesn't feel it. The broadcast doesn't show it. It's invisible to casual observation and entirely decisive to the outcome. The second 100 meters is where the race becomes legible to viewers and where the analysis gets more complicated. Kambundji's top speed through the 120 to 150 meter window tracked at 10.2 meters per second. Thomas peaked at 10.4 meters per second in the same window. The athlete who ran faster in the second half of the race lost. So why didn't the faster top speed win? Because speed maintenance isn't the same as peak speed. Through the final 50 meters, Kambundji's velocity decay was 3.1%. Thomas declined at 4.7% from her higher peak. The mechanism is straightforward. A faster peak speed only helps if the metabolic cost of reaching it doesn't accelerate fatigue. Thomas's longer stride through the curve required greater muscular effort to generate, and that debt showed up in the final straight. That's the deciding factor. Not reaction time. Not top speed. Curve efficiency separated these two athletes, and it's the variable that almost no broadcast coverage ever addresses. Think about what you now watch for in any 200-meter race. The moment to study isn't the finish. It's the 60 to 100-meter window on the curve, where stride frequency, ground contact, and lateral alignment determine how much energy each athlete carries into the straight. The athlete who looks smooth on the curve isn't being cautious. They're being efficient. That smoothness is energy conservation expressed as motion. Kambundji has built this technical profile over more than a decade at the elite level. Her curve mechanics have been refined for exactly this kind of race. A controlled, high-frequency approach through the bend that leaves enough in reserve to hold form through the final 30 meters, where races at this level are visually decided but technically already over. The 2025 Prefontaine Classic Women's 200 wasn't an upset. It was a technically superior athlete executing a technically superior race plan against a field that brought faster peak numbers and slower strategic thinking. Kambundji's 21.74 wasn't a surprise to anyone who watches the curve. Is that the story the results table tells? No. The results table shows a winning time and a margin. What it hides is the 1.3-second window in the curve that made everything else inevitable. Drop a comment below. Do you watch the curve when you're following a 200-meter race, or do you typically tune in at the straight? We read everyone. If this kind of breakdown is what you're here for, subscribe and hit the bell. Every video on this channel is built around the part of the race nobody explains. Next time, we're looking at why the fastest 400-meter runners in the world slow down before they mean to, and what the data says about where exactly that happens.